Hello everyone, this is Undertow Tyler here, bringing you beneath the waves and into the webway yet again with a Sslyth unboxing video. And today we're going to be bringing this Sslyth from the box to tabletop standard. I did something similar to this my last video with my entire 1,000-point army that I've been unboxing, and I decided to do a little bit of a different format. So resin is a more of an advanced technique, I would say, among hobbyists, for the fact that it's not as straightforward. Right there I had hot water, and you have to wash resin into hot water, or else it will adhere together with super glue. And of course we're getting the milliput out just like we did last video. So resin is a little bit of a tricky subject. It scars easily, it's very fragile. You have to be patient and delicate with it as possible. And right here with milliput, of course, you just knead it, and it's like green stuff, except it's a little bit easier to work with. I wouldn't be putting it on your models, but I would definitely use it for basing. And where you had a mishap with the concrete block and the milliput, but that's okay because we're going to fix it and we're going to try a different way of doing it. Since milliput does stick to concrete really easily, we're going to get rid of each and every fingerprint as much as possible. Now, this strip with the resin, we're going to dry it off. It may require multiple washes in order to get it to actually adhere. For example, my first time I was trying to connect these with the super glue, and it just wouldn't stick. So I had to wash it again, and after I washed it again, it didn't work. So again, you just have to be patient with it. And you especially have to be delicate with it in the sprue cutting process. That blade right there has an easy time of breaking off. So you want to cut around it as much as possible and be especially careful with the knife. Put your thumb on the back of the blade and make sure you have full control. It's better to shave it and cut it like that instead of just going for a straight cut. And right here we're getting rid of the mold lines, cleaning up the model. We want to make sure it's all going to be okay for painting. Most of the time, whenever you're cleaning up a model, you're probably going to damage the model by accident, and sometimes you have to deal with that, or you use green stuff to fix it. It's just a part of the hobby, and mistakes happen, and it can be quite frustrating. For me, the most frustrating part of hobbying is the building process. So I would like to make this video in order to encourage other viewers and other hobbyists, up-and-coming hobbyists, to work with resin and trust themselves when they're building these. I know I was always discouraged from getting a resin miniature just because resin's hard to work with and it's a little bit of a hassle. I'm trying to remove as much sprue as I can with my fingers instead of the knife, because at the end of the day you don't want to break anything on the resin because it'll have an easy time of doing that. Requires precision and delicacy. And then here is the finished model, stuck onto the milliputted base. And I'd say it's coming along nicely. I did add green stuff to that seam on the tail and along the arm. And now priming it can be a bit tricky because I use Vallejo white primer with Vallejo flow improver. Now the white goes onto the resin it blends in really well, so it makes it hard to tell how much of a primer you're getting on it. So definitely I would recommend priming the model black and doing a little coat of white on top for a zenithal highlight. It will make the model pop a lot more. However, I don't have any black primer on hand, so I'm just working with what I have right now. And it's how the rest of my army is primed, so it's going to be about the same shade anyway. And now we're starting the painting process, which will be painted very similar to the rest of my army. And this is inspired off of my other Archon. I call him Tarad the Maimed, the one with the peg leg, converted from a Fleet Master. And I figured, why not the cape of Tarad be made out of the Sslyth skin as a way of intimidating them to being his bodyguard. So I'm going to paint the skin the same way, and I believe the dark green does go well with the rest of the scheme. It brings out the brighter green, and what we're going to do is paint all the snake skin that dark Vallejo green. And then later on, when we're dry brushing our moot green onto the miniature, we were going to dry brush it on all the skin as well as the armor. Now the skin seemed to be the biggest part, so I figured I would get that first. Now Sslyth are some of my favorite models in the GW line, especially with Dark Eldar along with the Scourges. Because when I first got into Warhammer, I saw the Dark Elves riding the Cold Ones, and I thought that was some of the coolest things I've ever seen. So I thought to myself, you know what, I want that. And the Sslyth, I feel like, are a good callback to that. And now we're painting on our Xerxes purple in multiple layers to make sure we get as smooth as finish as possible. And it will take a minute for it to dry, of course. We're using our makeshift wet palette along with a drop of water into the paint itself. And now we have painted on we've painted on Thousand Suns blue on all the details with the cloth, and black on the guns, and we're going to put silver onto the blade as well as the power core of the splinter rifle and splinter pistol. I'm going to make it match as much as possible to the rest of my army to create that unified picture. This is actually my first time painting the Sslyth. I used to have 3 Sslyth, however I never got around to painting them, and this is the one I never got around to building myself. And now we're getting on that good dry brush of moot green. It's going to be highlighting every single scale and every single ridge in our purple armor. One of the things I love most about painting miniatures is all the colors coming together to bring the model alive. And instead of this dead green, dead gray that looks lifeless, and then you put color onto it, it brings it so much more character, brings it out, and you can visualize these models on the battlefield, serving whatever cause you want them to serve, dying for whatever cause you want them to die for. And the dry brushing does go on pretty quickly, but we just make sure we don't get too much, and then we go back and later and fix purple where we need to, fix where we got a little bit heavy on the dry brush. But that's okay, because we can do that as we go on. All that matters is that it fits the tabletop standard, 3 colors, and it looks decent on the table. So whenever somebody looks at it, they think to themselves, wow, that's a lot of effort going into that model. And here is the finished model. So as you can see, I did a Nolan oil wash wash along the base to fill in those crevices and darken it up just a little bit. And we really didn't do many other washes besides some normal on the silver, along the sword especially. And I felt we were pretty successful in that. Now I sure do hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope every one of you has a great night. And I hope that this video, if you're watching this and you are newer to the hobby, then you're scared of buying any resin miniatures or building the resin miniatures, I hope this gave you some courage to build them, prime them, paint them, get them on the tabletop, because at the end of the day, it's all a hobby, and there's no reason to be scared of it. You're going to do just fine.